Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Loral Langemeier.
Well, we're back, and I'm going to introduce my guest to you. Her name is Loral Langemeier. She is known as the Millionaire Maker. Loral is a money expert, sought-after speaker, entrepreneurial thought leader, and 5-time, you heard me right, 5-time New York Times bestselling author who's on a relentless mission to change the conversation about money and empower people around the world to become millionaires. And I'm so proud to have her on my show. She is a major supporter of law enforcement and the Wounded Blue. Loral, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's good to be here today, Randy.
So I'm going to introduce you by way of some of my my viewers and listeners are probably going, she's not the usual guest that Randy has on his shows, but I have been a law enforcement trainer for years. I was one of the jobs I had was as the head of advanced training for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I literally have been training for years. Every officer gets hours and hours of training throughout their career on how to survive physical encounters, how to survive emotionally, criminal law, all kinds of things. But here's something where we lack, Loral, and this is where your expertise is. One of the greatest stressors in a law enforcement officer's life is money. And we do nothing as a profession to train them about money. But that is your expertise. You've written 5 New York Times bestsellers about it. And now you're actually going to have an event in Reno, Nevada at the end of October that's going to give an opportunity to our officers from across the United States to come to that event and actually get trained on the legacy of their own income. So thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's been a while. You and I have known each other for, I think, decades. I'm here in Georgia. My son goes to Georgia Southern up there. And it's his birthday today. I think you probably saw him when he was maybe 5 or 6. He's 23 today. And
thanks for making me feel old. Thanks, Loral.
We have known each other for so long, and I just respect what you're doing and excited to have you. And those of you also listening, the Wounded Blue is our charity of choice for that event. It's called the Generational Wealth Conference. We'll put up a link below so you can come join us. And, it's not just the officers across the country that don't know about money. People don't know about money. This last year, I actually got a 6 Wall Street Journal and Barnes & Noble bestseller. It's tough to hit. I heard you earlier saying something about, the press and the New York Times, and they'd rather have socialist kids than millionaire kids in there. I said it on air, and they're on recording saying that. They didn't give me a bestseller. So it's just it's not only the presence of all the political and economic drama, even before that, money was an issue in families. And with generations, unless you train your kids, and most parents, and I were together, 20 years on, call it the circuit, and seminars and events, and, promoting what you're promoting. I'm promoting financial literacy and business literacy. How many parents say that they care and then they don't do anything about it? I actually think they don't have enough really skills about it. So I just wrote another book. The one I just wrote was how to make your kids millionaires. It's a 68-point checklist. How do you have, responsible, courageous, brave kids, not, spoiled little brats just because they have a trust fund, and how to use a trust for generational wealth. So at our conference, we're really going to break that down, and it's going to be a working conference. It starts on October 26th at 1:00, so people can fly in that morning, register at noon. And then we are going to really break down what does it take, because you don't have to have millions to have generational wealth. Even if you have hundreds of thousands, which most of the officers with their retirement, their pension, like the next generation is going to receive that probably upon their death. They don't know what to do with that money and how to manage it and how to have their grandkids and their great grandkids and their other great grandkids, keep it. So wealth is just something not talking about in general, which is why I've had a passion for it my whole life. And, there's really 4 components. It's how to make it, how to spend it, which is critical. And it's okay to have debt properly and credit card usage properly. It's what you keep, you've always heard that, what you invest, and then what you pass on as a legacy. So we're going to talk about all of that, and it's what I talk about every day.
Well, and this is really critical stuff, because in my role, both as when I was still, actively working as a law enforcement leader, it was very common for our officers to get in trouble financially, which affected not only their reliability on the job, but also affected their family life. And when your family life is affected, your effectiveness as a police officer is affected. And there's an old adage in law enforcement. Those cops who are listening know what I'm talking about. I can't repeat it on my show, but it's all about the things that are going to get you in trouble. And money is one of those things that can get you in serious trouble. So you have a plan, and this is learned behavior, and you have a plan. You are dynamic in this regard. So if an officer wants to come to the conference, how are they going to benefit from it, so that they're not so stressed out about their financial situation?
Well, even before they come, like the minute they raise their hand and say, I'm interested in learning this, I send a variety of ebooks, audio, recordings to start listening about the truth about money, because there's a lot of misguided information about money. And what we were taught about money is how to do exactly what these men and women have done, which is, go to school, get a good job, and, serve our community. And typically that's not going to be enough financially. So like I'm here at Georgia Southern, I taught the football team. I teach a lot of their coaches, their wives. Just taught the basketball team yesterday. Again, their coaches and wives. And the same thing I teach any of them is how you make money. Typically, a lot of the officers, and I was sharing with you, I've some folks who left Seattle, some cops who left Seattle, tired of all the politics and the drama and the defunding and all that was going on. And they just bought my land in Texas to either build additional houses or buy houses. So I'm helping them as a community. I have 11 more lots, by the way, officers, if you want to go to Texas.
So this is going to be like a mini town of cops.
I hope so. I hope it is. I hope it's athletes, coaches, their coaches' wives, because what happens when police make money, it's a job. And if you only have a job, it's the highest income that you can make. Now, no one tells you that, but when you have, say, real estate on the side, or I have a lot of cops that are actually clients of mine. So they'll do, in addition, they'll do some arms training, self-defense training. I have one woman who actually has become a private investigator, and she and her husband now on the side, they do a whole other business, right? I teach firefighters that. So when you have an ability to have a company that can have deductions, including your children, how do you deduct your children? If you don't have some, I always say you should get them some, they're tax deductible. But seriously, like just the tax code alone is hurting these officers. They just don't understand that income alone, it isn't the only income. So there's another way without a lot of work that they can access and have a way better tax bracket. So we're going to talk about extra income, different income, company income. We're going to talk about how a trust will actually protect you from, upon passing, having the state take 40 to 50% of everything. People don't know that, Randy. They think a will is enough. It's not. You have to have a trust to stay out of probate. California is the worst state to go into probate. New York, New Jersey, a lot of those are right behind it. So first, we're going to talk about a lot of income, and we're going to be talking about that the minute they raise their hand and say, teach us. Then I'm going to talk about spending, how to use credit cards, and then how do you pass assets? Like how do you pass real estate, stock portfolios, cryptocurrencies? How do you pass this to your next generation and not have them blow it? Because the statistics will say that your kids or your kids' kids is usually when your wealth would end. And I didn't do all this. And I've been at this for a little minute here. When I knew I was going to be a single mom, I've been doing this for 23 years and 9 months is when I said, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do it different as a single mom. And I'm not going to be, run back home. And not that that's a bad thing to do, but I was living in the water in California, right in Sausalito. I kind of liked my lifestyle, and I love the water and I love the mountains, and I wanted to raise my kids in the mountains. So I have a beautiful daughter right here who we live in the northern Nevada, which is why we're having our event in Reno. So we're going to talk about all categories. How do you make money? How do you pay less taxes? How do you spend differently, including how do you get out of credit card debt? Randy, what I see, one of the biggest mistakes when people kind of wake up and say, I need to figure money out, they look at their debt and they think that being debt free is their biggest, or, being in debt's the biggest problem. And it's not. It's your lack of making more money that's the bigger problem, and then paying taxes wrong. I can get you out of debt super, super simple. Like, that's easy. It's going to take a while. But here's a math equation for those listening. Let's just say you had, let's go extreme, $40,000 of debt. Wouldn't you rather invest it, make a minimum of 10%? That's $4,000 a year of extra income. Now you're at $44,000 12 months from now. Then you invest that again, and you make another $4,400. Now you're headed north of $50,000 in less than 2 years of just invested income. Then put yourself on a small payment plan to offload that debt. People who spend their $40,000 and get out of debt, you're out of debt, who cares? You still don't have a big nest egg. So people blow their nest eggs to do the wrong thing all the time. And Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey would tell you to go get out of debt and then breathe. No way. We're going to go invest. You're going to go make more income, pay off the debt slowly. And now you're going to get farther faster because you're on a growth pattern, not to live within your means and stay super small. And nobody wants to do that. People want to have a life. So I teach you how to have a life, how to fund life. And yeah, if you got yourself in some financial issues, we'll help walk you out of them slowly and methodically while you grow your wealth faster.
I watch basically almost every one of my coworkers, and I hear this constantly, is that we have to work extra jobs in order to make enough money to live. So you have police officers who are literally working double shifts to make that overtime, working security jobs on the side, working traffic jobs on the side, and they're not getting the proper amount of sleep. And I think what you're saying here is that you have the ability to teach these officers how to use their abilities in such a way, and their income in such a way, that they don't have to be a slave to being a laborer, basically. Correct.
And so I'm going to teach them how to take their same skills. I've done this for many, 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 many officers, firefighters. I have, I love that you have the Wounded Blue, because that's, new since we've reconnected. And I've done a lot with the Wounded Warriors, and I have a lot of military folks. So that income, typically what you're taught is to use, like you said, if you don't have your ends meet, you go get another job. I'm going to teach you and your family how to have a business on the side. Use your skill sets. Like, again, self-defense. I have, CCW classes. I have guys that actually, depending on their state here in Nevada, that, they have their own, they own a gun shop. They own and sell ammo. I have one guy who actually makes ammo. And if that's totally not your jam, what else do you like to do? What do you and your family like to do? And that, when you include your family inside that business, it's going to change your family dynamic, because now you're talking about money in a healthy way. How do you make more of it versus we can't afford it and don't ask for anything? So you include them. Could it be real estate? Maybe you go find your first piece of property. If you have, a couple kids that are interested, maybe they help do the rehab. Your wife helps, organize the rehab. But together as a family, you're going to get more farther when you have a company instead of job number 2 and job number 3. It just won't work as well for you. And we at our conference, we're going to do that. We're going to do that math. We're going to show you how this process is what the wealthy have always done. It's not like what Loral Langemeier made up. I studied the Rockefeller family. I mean, I don't think anybody knows this, but the Vanderbilt family, after 3 generations, there was not one millionaire. They had all blown it. And so to this day, they either had to build it back up on their own, but their legacy, what they built, was not sustained because the kids didn't have any rules. They didn't have any education. So as soon as the mom and dad died, they got a big screen TV, a new house, a new car, and they blew all the money. So this is about educating, and it's, of course, having fun. I mean, you know my kids. I mean, they both have had little, I call them 21st century lemonade stands, right? From a little art wallet business to my son had a smoothie business. My daughter used to have a slime business, and slime was a big thing and selling it. So I have families that eBay tons of stuff out of their house. They do Amazon stores. I mean, there's so many things that families could do together to make more money, have more fun, be more connected around this conversation about money, and not be so scary and end up fighting about it.
I love that concept. I love the concept of a family working together for the common good. And we see the disjointed families of today, and when they can work together and get to know each other on a deeper level through that, I mean, what a wonderful opportunity that is to say kill two birds with one stone. Build better wealth and better relationship at the same time. Quick question: You've been at this a long time. How many millionaires do you think you've created?
Yeah, I'm going to say I probably influenced well over 10,000 easily. We stopped counting around 4,000 or 5,000, and that was like by 2010 or 11. So, I mean, we're 10 years more. And between 2010, where I went through a phenomenal divorce, 2009 and 10 with my daughter's father, we started traveling. So, Logan and Tristan and I went to Australia, and then we just kept traveling. I mean, she had more tickets in her passport than most people ever have to Australia. We went, up to Asia, Kuala Lumpur. We've traveled through Asia, India, went to Africa. So we traveled all over the world, and all of that impact, there had to have been well over 10,000 by now. And what's interesting, Randy, is a lot of people say they want to be millionaires, but once they start creeping up on millionaire, multimillionaire status, and they really learn what I'm saying, then your need for privacy and exclusion takes over, because you don't want everyone to know, your wealth. And like you said, I mean, we're in such crazy times right now. I mean, in the highest litigation, that goes on in this country, it's crazy. So people are pretty loud about wanting to be a millionaire, but what I see is as they approach it, they don't want to be, counted as a statistic. Like, they privately will let me know, but they don't want to be, showcased. Like, oh, I'm the new neighbor that's just became a millionaire. Now, you can come over to my property, fall down and sue me. So it's interesting energy around money. Kiyosaki, who was, I was part of the Rich Dad Poor Dad team for a long time. And he always said there's two problems: not enough money or too much money. Right. And it's interesting when people say that. They always complain about not enough, and they get really private. And I think I'm one of those who all along have lived out loud. I've talked loudly, get in a conversation about money. And if you don't know a lot about it, standing still and doing nothing isn't going to work. I have a huge YouTube channel, Loral Langemeier, the Millionaire Maker. I dedicated a huge investment of just time, energy, and team to start that about a year and a half ago, just because I need, a place where people 5 days a week can hear little 10-minute snippets about a different money conversation, whether it's how to get out of credit card debt, how to use a credit card properly, how do you do anything money related is we put that together. So that's another resource that we'll be getting them into. But the conference, we haven't done a conference like this, and this will be hundreds of people. We have the ballroom rented. They're going to get a beautiful legacy journal that they'll be working on with them, their family. We're going to go through value, your mission. Like, what did you do all this for? Just to survive, or to actually have a great life, and design it now. Doesn't matter. Don't think you're too old, too young. Design it now and begin.
So, you said something about privacy, and I want to just slip something in here. There's a company called officerprivacy.com that was started by a police officer who realized that you can be, so much information is out there about you on the internet, and it affects the safety of your family if you're a police officer, the safety of yourself, and what you're telling me is that this concept of officer privacy, where you contact this company and they help remove the ability to find you and to find the wealth that you have, the cars that you have, and they do so, for a very, very small fee. So I always push this, officerprivacy.com. If you're a police officer or have been, you want to take a look at this, and you want to contact them at officerprivacy.com, because what you're saying, Loral, is exactly on the money. So, pardon the pun.
Yeah. No, I like that. I didn't know that. I appreciate that resource and glad they have it. I have a bunch of gifts for those who just want to check, if you're hearing us for the first time. There's tickets to How to Make Money conference. It's called the Millionaire Intensive at Marketplace. I have a book out there for you. I have a whole bunch of goodies out there just as a free gift for listening to us have this conversation.
Loral.club. That's the place to go. Loral, thanks so much for joining me here at the Voice for American Law Enforcement.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Loral Langemeier, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Loral's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Loral? Visit askloral.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.